Hi everybody, this is Josh with Josh Wright Piano TV. Tonight I am coming to you from my apartment. I'm on a keyboard, which is a little different than a lot of my other videos. I'm recording this for two reasons. A keyboard allows me to record these videos late at night without disturbing the neighbors too much. Also, I just want to stay accessible for those of you who don't have the means to practice on a grand piano every single day. This can show you some alternatives and still show you that you can get quality practice from a keyboard. It will never be as good as a grand piano, but still certainly you can develop your skills on this. This video is something that a lot of people have asked me about and to make a video on, and I've kind of been stumped on how to do it because there is no one correct way to do this, but finding a good fingering for the musical passages that you do is it's an essential part of learning the passage to the best of your ability, as well as having a smooth feel throughout everything. I'm a doctoral student here at the University of Michigan, and I still go over fingering with my teacher in the lessons that we do. I have, today I've been learning the Rachmaninoff Second Concerto, and we still spent quite a bit of the lesson today just refining a couple little things with my fingering so that the passages can flow as well as possible. Another piece that I'm learning right now is this sonata for cello and piano, opus 19, piano transcription by Volodos. And literally, I sat down to learn this about 5 minutes ago, and I said, maybe I'll just do a video on my actual practice session so people can see how I start it. First thing I did is I listened to it a few times on YouTube, just back to back, so I can really hear everything. I like to kind of get an artistic idea of what I'm going for. Next, and by the way, this score is available online. It is one of the most heart-wrenchingly beautiful pieces you'll ever hear. Again, that's Sonata for Cello and Piano, Opus 19, third movement, piano transcription by Arkady Volodos. So the first thing I do is just maybe take the first couple lines and just try reading through them with my right hand. Okay, and I always like to kind of work backwards, so that little passage right there kind of strikes me as a little weird. What I'm looking for when I'm choosing a fingering is to look for a pattern where I can break it down into a hand position. And what I like here, this is a half note, so I'm going to hold that as long as I can. So I'm going to write in 5-1 for that octave, and then 2-3-1. That's one position. Okay, I'm a huge fan of writing in as much fingering as you need. If you don't automatically do it, write it in. You have to write it in once. People might say, oh, you're such a baby, you're writing in that stuff. To be honest, it solidifies it in my mind. When I'm reading through the score, I have the numbers there to reference if I'm doing a tricky rhythm, if I want to break down my practicing a little bit more intensely. I don't have to sit and go back to the beginning of the passage and say, what fingering? Oh yeah, I was using a 4 on the G, it was right there. So even though it takes a little more time at the beginning, it will save you loads of time as you become more creative with your practicing. I feel like that fits in my hand really well, so 5-2-3-1 there. And then I'm going to look forward. Nope, I don't have any other places I need to be, so 5-2-3 actually works really well. You can do 5-2-5-1-2 if you like, 5-2-1, maybe I'll do 5-2-1. No, I'll do 5-2-3. That works great. See, so what I'm doing is I'm experimenting with lots of different things, and now let me go ahead and try this. Yeah, that feels really nice. Because what it does is it allows me to kind of fold my hand over into this very comfortable position. Okay, let me just go back a beat now. Because that's kind of a resetting of the hand there. I think I'm definitely going to use 5-2 there. Now this can all change, and I change constantly on this stuff, but I'm showing you how I'd establish a fingering to begin with. Okay, and I want a smooth fingering into that 5-1 there. So 5-2, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1. Oh, that feels pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to recap it, double check everything that works. That feels good. Okay. myself up to get into that 5-2. So I'll just look backwards one note. I probably am going to want my thumb on that B flat. So let me just check. The hard thing about this is you've always got to be looking backwards if you're moving backwards through it. And you might think that's stupid, just start forwards. The reason I always like to work backwards is I always give myself a success point. I'm like, I can play it through to there rather than just kind of plowing through. It gives me better perspective to work backwards. I don't know, I just work quicker that way as well. It's just a personal preference. Okay, now I have kind of a dilemma here. If I want to do 5-3-1, that's kind of a stretch. I think I'll probably just keep it simple, even though my 5 and 4 are much weaker than my 5 and 3. I don't personally feel like this is going to be that big of an issue with the 5 and 4. Again, this video might be incredibly boring for a lot of you, but I'm just basically practicing for you guys so you can kind of see how I go through this process and just kind of speaking my thoughts out loud here. I always like to try to use my strongest fingers, 1, 2, and 3, and I like to avoid stretching a lot. I have fairly large hands. I can reach a 10th very easily. I can actually reach up to an 11th. It's quite a big stretch. And my teachers all have smaller hands than I do. And they're always like, even though you have big hands, try to avoid, stretching them out and grabbing a big mess of notes in one big hand position, because what it does is when you stretch, it causes tension. So I actually like to think, okay, if I was teaching this to a 12-year-old, what kind of fingering would I give them? And usually that's the fingering I choose because it keeps my hand compact and loose. It's a lot easier to jump from one hand position to another rather than try and stretch it out and be totally accurate over the span of like a 14th or something. If it's a 10th, I might try it in one hand position, and even if your hands are smaller, a 10th isn't that much to reach. But I just try to keep things a little more compact. Okay, now to recap everything. Feels pretty dang good. That took me, let's see, we're at seven minutes with a lot of my long-winded explaining. Not too bad for the first 2 lines that I'm never ever going to have to write in another finger number again. So I'm done with that. Okay, now I'm an idiot here, so I just always have to check these ledger lines. If you don't know ledger lines, start from a ledger line, like middle C, C, B, A, G, F sharp. I had a feeling it was F sharp, and I've seen that a million times in my life, but I still like to check it because I can't even tell you how many times I've gone into my lessons with a wrong note, just because I didn't check my ledger lines. So always check them. This is a little trickier, so I'm going to start from that position and think, what do I have to get in? Let's see. That feels pretty good. 5, 2, 1, 3, 2, 5, 3, 2, 1. 5, 2, 1. And this is how I'm in my private lessons too. If students have fingering and I don't personally play the piece, I'll sit and experiment for just a second because it's worth that little bit of time rather than just throwing out your very first option. 5, 3, 2, 1. 5, 2, 1, 3, 2, 5, 3, 2, 1. Now let's try putting that together. That feels good. Okay, and so on. You guys get the point. If any of you have questions, now I can't just sit and, if you send me a video request, or a request like, what fingering would you do for this entire passage? I probably won't have time to mark your individual finger numbers. If you would like some private lessons, let me know. I could help you with that. I just don't have the time to sit and write out the fingering for everybody's difficult passages. But if you do have a general question or like a 1 measure or 2 measure question, I'm happy to help you. My email is josh@joshwrightpiano.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. Talk to you soon.